But reading a book called The Illustrated History of the Bible, and one of the lines in the introduction was this: "The Bible claims to be the very revelation of God, and the clear intention is to help readers obtain knowledge and to touch them emotionally, to motivate the faithful to look upon God's commands and act thereon." One of the problems with the Bible is that most people don't read it. And sometimes just reading it is not quite enough. There are themes throughout the Bible which we should take a look at. And there are themes which are not in the Bible, which unfortunately people act on a lot. One of the problems is that religion is nowhere spoken of in the Bible in a positive sense. Actually, religion started with Nimrod back at the Tower of Babel. Nimrod and his wife Samarius, who gathered all the people together to build a passageway to God, in contradiction to God's command to go into all the world and populate it. And one of the problems with bringing people together and getting them to do something is you have to give them motivation. And one of the things that developed during that motivation was fear and hierarchy and ritual. A ritual which has gone down from the time of Samarius and her son Tammuz right to the present day. But the Bible has a theme throughout it which is not about religion, but it's about relationship. And the Bible has this continually throughout its pages, from the first book of the Bible to the end. In Genesis it tells us that God came to the garden and walked in the cool of the day. Now when it mentions this, Adam and Eve had already sinned and they hid. But the implication is that this was something which had been done before. You see, when man was sinless, man and God walked together. But since that time, God said in Exodus that no one can look upon his face and live, because no man is without sin. But in spite of that, the Bible shows that God has come down to us on a number of occasions. And each time he comes down, he gives us something. When he came down the first time, he gave Adam and Eve the garden. When he came down on Mount Sinai to meet with Moses, he gave Moses a purpose, a reason, a duty. When he came down the second time to Mount Sinai, he gave Moses the 10 Commandments for our good and not for his. When he came down as a child, he gave us grace and mercy and a chance for eternal life. And it says he's coming back another time to give us himself. The whole relationship idea between God and man, or between Jesus and man, is one of a unity. And it's illustrated from the very first of Genesis again, where he said, "A man and a woman shall cleave their parents and become one flesh." Become as one. They'll become as one unity. Right through the end of Revelation, where it says that Christ will take the church as his bride to himself. It is all one, and all one purpose. The relationship between God and man is one which always should be fostered, and not as a religion. Religion does nothing but separate man from God. We cannot build a way to heaven. We have to wait until God comes from heaven for us. That's just something to think about.